Hello, everyone. Welcome, or should I say, ciao, buongiorno, whatever the locals call it. Welcome to the fourth episode of the Summer of Ant miniseries. Um, ciao, buongiorno. Either way, this episode is going to be pretty much all about Italy. Yeah, we are going to the land of Mario and Luigi. Take that in. Last episode was traversing borders between Germany and Switzerland. That was a fun episode. And on this episode, we will be going through the cities of Milan and Pompeii. Italy has always been on the one of the top of my bucket list, definitely top 3 for almost 2 years. So I was really excited to see what everyone has been talking about. And I had a lot of hope. I had a lot of hopes because one of my favorite movies, Angels and Demons, it traverses. There are a bunch of places along Rome, and I'm like, Rome's cool, Italy's cool, it's all cool, you know. Everything about Italy is cool. Which I wasn't wrong. Italy was very cool. There was so much to see, and it was very different compared to Germany and Switzerland. Especially considering how Switzerland was just mountain. So yeah. First impressions of Italy were a little disappointing, I want to say, because we still had the car rental, the PEV MG from last episode. So we just went on a drive. Right after finding the cow oasis, we decided to go straight towards Milan. So we crossed the border, figured out how to speak Italian a little bit, struggled how to pump gas because none of us speak Italian. Yeah, I think this was the first time we had a language barrier. Cause apart from Germany, but we had our relatives there, so they helped us out. But Italy was the first time we properly felt like a language barrier, and it was annoying at times. So I would totally suggest for wherever we go, learn a couple words of the language, and it also helps out knowing that you're not a complete tourist, and it helps out the local shopkeepers, whoever you're talking or buying things from. So learn a language, or not even just not even be fluent, just know a couple sentences or just some words that might come in handy. Just simple in Italy, I think I said ciao or buongiorno. I think ciao is the more casual way, and then buongiorno is the more formal. Well, I think I said ciao a couple hundred times, per day. I don't know why. It reminds me of that scene in Avatar: The Last Airbender. Season 3, I think, was the first or second episode, where they're in the Fire Nation town, and Aang, of course, he hasn't been there in 100 years, so he's an old man. He's using the old lingo, and he calls everyone a hotman. I was like, hotman. That was essentially me. If you want to put a picture in your mind. Yeah. First impressions of Italy, everything was really everything seemed sketchy for some reason. It was either it was a complete countryside, or it was a fully commercialized spot from all the way from Switzerland to Milan. That's pretty much all it was. I remember the first night we got food to eat, we literally didn't see anything for an hour or two. No buildings, no sign of life, nothing apart from the cars on the highway. And all of a sudden we just see all these flashing lights, come here, we got this, we got that. It's the scene in SpongeBob where they first enter Atlantis, and then they get just hypnotized by all the billboards, all the lights and everything in the Sponge Out of Water movie. I don't know why I'm going straight to movies for some reason. It's the third show or movie I've mentioned, and it's been 5 minutes. Yeah. Everything was really sketchy for some reason. And it was a little concerning because, new country, a lot to lose. Yeah. But there were some things that were good about Italy that all-encompassing. The food over there is really interesting because it's a different style of cooking. I know how to cook. Like I'm fairly involved and I'm fairly developed in my cooking skills. So I've like tried different techniques, tried different things from across the world. But the thing about Italy is that for especially in like American cuisine, you just like pile toppings together and you like create like an all-encompassing flavor ball. Like think about it like burgers, pizza, like noodles, I guess. Like you just stack, not like physically or just like, you know what I mean, just you stack a bunch of things on top of each other, and then the all-encompassing taste, taking parts from every ingredient, that's the thing that tastes good. But for Italy, they focus on each ingredient and try to make that ingredient as best as possible. I remember, I think one of my favorite foods I ate there was a pasta called cacio e pepe, and it was mind blowing. It was so good. And the even more crazy thing was that they were literally like no special ingredients in it. It was literally just like super high quality pasta, like super high quality oil or olive oil. They put olive oil on about everything. I remember we went to breakfast, or we got breakfast one time from like one of the spots near our hotel, and it was literally they just like gave us like a plate of cheese dipped in olive oil. Yeah. So they put olive oil and everything. Yeah, so cacio e pepe, it's just super high quality pasta, super high quality olive oil, black pepper, and cheese, and I think butter. But like it's so good. Um, yeah, so the cuisine there is really interesting. Before visiting to any of the main cities, our first stop was the Museo Automobili Lamborghini. So the Lamborghini museum that's like inside the official Lamborghini factory. It was fairly expensive though. It was like about like 20 euros per person, and euros are like 1.75 ish Canadian. So yeah, fairly expensive. But then again, it was worth it for a car lover like me because you would get to see so many cars they're probably never going to see again in your life. I think they had about every single model of Lamborghini there, from the old ones from like the 60s and 80s to the anniversary, like the 25th anniversary Countach that was on display. It was so nice. It's I probably like my one of my favorite designs of a car is when it mixes in old with new. I remember when the new Pagani model came out, I was absolutely amazed by that thing because it had the old elements, but it was in its new form. It was so nice. I saw so many nice cars, like once again the Countach. Which other ones? There were the old ones like the Yuriko. There were like the hatchbacks and whatnot. There was a Lamborghini Jeep. I forgot what that one was called. The Diablo, which ones? We saw the Veneno, the Murcielago, the Centenario. So many insane cars. That was my first time seeing both the Veneno and the Centenario. And I haven't seen, I've been wanting to see those cars for such a long time. And finally seeing them, I was just losing myself. I was a little kid in a candy shop. There was even there was in like a prototype version of like an electric model for Lamborghini, and it was really nice too. And that was like the only one where the tour guide, there was a tour guide like near us. We didn't buy one. Like she like opened the doors and like started the car and everything. That was really cool. Next, yeah, it was super hot, like all throughout Italy, like in my notes it literally says being absolutely mutilated by my mosquitoes. So just imagine, yeah, it was not fun. It really wasn't. It was so hot. It was like 40, 50 degrees every day. So many mosquitoes everywhere. Like, my legs were literally just like a buffet for mosquitoes. Um, I want to point out that everyone in Italy, like all the citizens, like I said, it's different compared to like Paris or something. Because Paris was tourist. Like, the entire city of Paris was a tourist spot. But with Italy, you can very distinctly tell between like residential areas and tourist spots. And in especially in like Rome or in other cities, um, most of the tourist spots were all like churches or like chapels or like Christian related things, since that's like the capital of Christianity. I hope that makes sense. That's not like offensive in any way. I hope not. I'm sorry. I apologize. Well, yeah. Everyone in Italy has character. Either it be like religious character or like fashion. Everyone has their own little thing just off like looks alone. I know it sounds really like shallow and like superficial, but like you could definitely tell people there are very they're expressive in the sense that like everyone's a lot more talkative, everyone's a lot more like open with like their hand gestures and whatnot, and overall everyone is character. um I think one of the biggest expenses we had in the entire trip was just in Italy alone was the amount of tolls we had to pay just to get through the different cities. It was really like every 5 minutes there was a different type of toll. For those who don't know, tolls are like the specific highways that people have made or like companies have made that you need to pay to get on. So it's like a premium highway. So they added premium subscriptions to highways now. Yeah, capitalism, always great. We paid so much money in tolls, and it was in euros too. So it's we lost so much money with that. Uh, on the topic of like tolls, the driving there is horrible, like absolute doo doo. The driving there is so bad. No one knows how to drive really. It's like in Birmingham, whatnot, it was different because people there were educated, they knew what they were doing. In Italy, people just go ballistic. It's like a what I mean. It contributed to the whole thing being sketchy and whatnot. Like we went to the one part of Milan, and it literally looked as if it were like a third world country. Like it looked like I just stepped through like Mexico or something. Like, cause like homeless people everywhere, streets were flooded with litter and garbage, super polluted area, super hot. Like, if you didn't tell me otherwise, I would have genuinely thought I was in like a tropical, like poor third world country. Yeah, it was. Italy was disappointing with that fact because people always associate it with being like with like its own like grandeur and its own like class. Not even like people like like all like the high quality stuff is probably made from Italy. Like my glasses, they're not even made in Italy, but it's just the company's Italian. So yeah, they make big bucks off of that. So you would obviously associate yourself with like just that idea that they make like such amazing things, such amazing cars. I always thought they make like some like prestigious like roads, but no, no, that's not how it works. I regret to inform you, but the streets are absolutely filthy. Um, and like I said, tolls. Yeah, I live in Brampton. Take that in. I live in Brampton, and the driving there is already like horrible. And then the moment we got into Italy, you could tell that people do not care about the like laws or like the rules or like the lanes or anything like that. Especially on like the tolls too, like where we like you have to pay money to get there too, so you're like you're expecting some like grandeur, like expensive stuff, but no, no, definitely not. Um, right at the edge of the border between Switzerland and Italy, we had McDonald's for the first night. Yes, very classy, Italian McDonald's. Capiche? um, I know Italian McDonald's. It was. I mean, it's McDonald's. Come on, you can only expect so much. But like, it was weird. It was very okay. The meal was very mid. I got like a double cheeseburger for like €7, and it was like 2 bites of food. It was tiny. Um, yeah, and it was really weird seeing. They had a whole like bakery section. Like you could see like fresh like cheesecakes, croissants, like pastries. It was weird after eating a like a 3-day-old burger and then seeing a fresh cheesecake just pull up to the counter. Yeah, it was weird. So now I want to start on Pompeii. Pompeii, for those who don't know, is a really famous place of sorts. Yeah, it's a place, definitely. That's why we're talking about it. So for the most part, Pompeii is just like a normal city. I mean, it's not really like normal, because it's in Italy and whatnot, but like it's a normal city. There's nothing much special about it. But what makes it special is death. No, not necessarily. I mean, yes, necessarily, kind of, yes and no, but we'll get into it. So I think it was like during like the Greek or Roman time, or like a couple of like 1,000 years ago, 3,000 years ago. There was a volcano that went big boom, and I think like it went like a full-on eruption for like 3 days. And what makes it so special is that the ruins of the town that got destroyed by the volcano are still here to this day, because the lava was so hot that the sheer heat of it just burnt everything in its place. And because of the ash and whatnot, and because of like the materials around the city, some things are like left still, like burnt in place, not frozen. I mean, frozen, but like not frozen. Frozen in place, like they can't move, but with heat. And it was really, really nice to see, because it was a really rich and like a developed city before the eruption. So you could tell some things about this city. You could tell, honestly, it was like a game of sorts, that you would try to make out what type of building or what was going on in that ruin. Like I remember you could see like ovens and like restaurants and overall like open areas. You could see where the town hall area was. You could see where the main courtyard was. And correct me if I'm wrong. I think I'm wrong, but I think I'm also correct on this. I think the eruption of the mountain was so powerful that it like blew off a chunk of the mountain with it. I think so. I have evidence to back me up, because if you go into Pompeii and you can see the mountain, you can see that it's not like an edged tip. It's like when you take a slice of pizza and you take a bite out of like the front, so it like kind of like curves. So yeah, that's what it looks like. So I think part of the mountain like blew up with it, which was just mental. And like it was really fun and like really interesting using our own intuition to like make out the runes and whatnot, and seeing like what they did, how things were, the layout of some houses and things like that, and learning the materials and the things they use that still stood there to this day. They did do some like reworking on buildings. You could see, but they use like they use like the same amount of material and where they did the rework, so you could tell what was new and what was old. They use like a really like specific type of like brick of sorts, and like learning the materials they use, like sandstone and all that. They on how like sturdy the buildings were, that they survived through so much. And I think that day was the hottest. It's ironic too, because people they're literally like I was probably like stepping in a place where like a person was probably like actually melted, and then I'm over there dying in the heat complaining that I'm melting. So it's a tad bit ironic, just a small dose of irony in there. But yeah, it was super hot that day. Like I had a backpack on, and like I remember I had like a light bluish shirt, and wherever I had the backpack on, the sweat was just building up, and you could just see exactly where the backpack was. That's disgusting. I don't know why I'm talking about that. Um, but yeah, okay. So our concept that I guess that me and my family worked on is that us being Muslims, for example. For example, like my entire family is Muslim, um, and we have our concept of like a shirk of like you can't associate anything with God. We believe that God is one single being, and there's never and there never will be something like he will never have like his helper. Like you'll never have someone near him, compared to like how Christians believe that God had like a son and there's like the Holy Spirit and all that. We don't believe in any of that. We believe like just straight there's God and God Himself. That's it. So we believe that since the Pompeians, that's what I'm gonna call them, since the Pompeians were so developed and whatnot, we believe that they were trying to like hype themselves up and they were like trying to like go against God, and they were trying to be like, we don't need God for this, we have everything we need, and then God put them in their place, and He really put them in this place. Like, it was honestly kind of sad too because they have like some exhibitions of sorts set up where you can still find like bodies or like kind of bodies where you can tell it obviously was a human at one point, but because of it like melting over and like fermenting, it's like a blob of stone. But yeah, it was kind of sad because you could see there were kids, there were women. There's even a horse. The horse one was cool because it was like a skeleton of sorts. So you could kind of like see like a hole, and like you could see it was like kind of hollow in the middle. But like, yeah, it was kind of sad seeing the people like burnt in their place. Um, so in Pompeii, we had a VRBO, so it was like an Airbnb, and it was literally like sleeping. It was very traditional. It was very traditional. It was like a 5-10 minute walk from the ruins, and it was our like beds were in like a literal like hole underground. Like it was a very traditional when you see like the videos and stuff of like Italy online, you'll find like the white walls and like the roofed wood panels up top. It was kind of like that, but it was underground and like rocks. Like there were literally like some rocks like extruding from the sides. I use a school word there. But yeah. And that was a day we had like a proper like Italian breakfast for like the first time. It was interesting. It was really light and like whatnot, but compared to like South Asian foods where you have like just masala and like different spices and like heaps of oil first thing in the morning, that's nah. Italian was different. And wherever we went, wherever there were tourists, you could obviously hear the like the tour guides going around. And I remember there was this one tour guide we followed around, and he had like he had a fairly thick like Caribbean accent, and on like the road trip or on the days or on the hours we were on the road, I had downloaded Pirates of the Caribbean from Disney Plus. So I literally just watched Pirates of the Caribbean, and then I'm in ruins of an old city with a Caribbean dude just placed in front of me, narrating on how someone died. I was surprised he didn't start talking about like Davy Jones or something, or like Blackbeard. But yeah, that was honestly really inspiring. Very awe. It was very cool. So yeah, that is it for today's episode. I think I'm about to make probably one or two more episodes. Probably one more episode. I'll get it done the next couple of days. Well, I'm trying to get everything done before school starts because then it's not really the summer of AMP, is it? It's kind of like the summer and school of AMP, which no, that doesn't work. Okay, that's it for today's episode. I hope you have an amazing day. Thank you so much for watching, and bye everyone.